can practice on his chart with that cosmic key, and you'll see how accurate.
I have. I went through the whole thing already.
You did it? Okay, good. You're a
I
good
did
student.
a little bit of it before.
So you got a good mind for this, you know. You had Moon trine Mercury for one, and Uranus is conjunct Jupiter. That makes for the astrologer. Actually, Uranus gives wisdom with astrology when it's joined with Uranus, because that's the New Age knowledge, which is really about it. So you'd resonate with it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You've got that strong. Plus, Jupiter's in it's just the same as in Matt's. It's in Sagittarius. So all the things I said to him about Uranus and Saturn, Uranus and Jupiter and Sagittarius is applicable to you. Everything I said to him about that. You two have a lot of similarities in the way you think and see things. That makes for a great amount of compatibility. So the other thing, that Mercury trine Moon gives good retention of memory, Mercury's memory. And the Moon is retention, ability to really, you can almost learn in your sleep with that energy, because Neptune rules the subconscious. So you pick things up on a deep level so deeply that, it's part of your being almost. You also have Mars conjunct Venus in your chart. We can't record this, that's right. Okay. So you have Mars conjunct Venus. And that's called it's a complex aspect. And it makes for, generally it's called the love-hate aspect.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, huh? Look at you. So,
Well, I know Venus is love and Mars is passion.
yeah,
Fighting.
exactly. So there's been a lot of that in your life. And that, that rejection, love, attraction energies are so paramount in your nature that one day you can hate them and the next day you can love them,
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way that aspect works,
I hate love you all the time.
Yeah, I would bet on that. So you have also Venus in Pisces, which has got a lot of high romanticness to it. It's kind of loves poetry and the drama of movies and things like that. Venus in Pisces and Mars are both together. They're only 1 degree apart in your chart. That's extraordinary conjunction. And Pisces rules the dream state. It rules movies, illusions, if you would, shadows on the wall. That's what movies are. And there's a high attraction to those kind of things, and also possibly even things that, even though the Venus is in love, right? Love stories and all that stuff. Venus in Pisces, but Mars is in there too. So it can give an attraction to the more violent movies and things that are scary, all that stuff. That's they can terrorize. Those are both in that aspect. So you kind of got an interesting love of drama, but also a love of conflicting stories that are violent even. So
that's him as well. That's really all we watch is Discovery ID, like true life crimes and things.
yeah.
I'm fascinated by trying to find missing people and murders and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I have Mars in Pisces, so I've got that same aspect, planetary energy. Also, you have a square between Mercury and the Moon. Mercury and Saturn rather. And Saturn's in your 3rd house with Pluto. Did you have a lot of conflict with a brother or sister?
Yes, I only have a half brother. We have the same dad, different mom. I'm the only child to my mom. He's the only child to his mom. And he's 10 years older, so we never really grew up together. But he's always had a hatred towards me for no reason. And it's always been a very difficult relationship that I finally just ended. Yeah,
that fits. The whole aspect of having Saturn in your third house, as you know, rules your brothers and sisters. And it's with Pluto, so it's very ugly energy there. And it's squaring off over to your Mercury, which gives a double entender. So you're getting that Mercury that rules brothers and sisters, and then you got third house, and then you got Saturn in the third house. All those things compile to make for a very bad relationship and a very accusatory type of relationship. So, okay. Jupiter, Uranus are also in your fourth house, and that is the house of home, basically, how you make your home. And it it means that there would tend to be, first of all, Jupiter rules magnanimous. That word means large, animus, animal. And so that gives a love of animals in your home. Okay, you would tend to have, that as a part of your fourth house, which is your home. It's also conjunct Uranus. So your home would have a more, how would you say it, maybe a unique, almost New Age feel to it. I don't know what I'm seeing, but maybe that implies also the electronics of the New Age, the communication things of the New Age, a communication center, if you would, for communicating outside the world into the other places, not only in this country but around the world. So that's very powerful in that, being in the fourth house. And Jupiter conjunct Uranus is what I talked to Matt about. It's that energy that has, you two have many things about you, both of you, that you have like minds in many respects. That whole conspiratorial thing I was talking about with him.
Oh yeah, that's, I would say even more so me. Yeah.
So that's in there, in your chart the same, and it's like, that gives a love of finding out what's really behind the universality of actions on this planet that people don't see. But you have Jupiter there, which is saying, I see. Jupiter's always saying, I see. Uranus is saying, I know. And so that comes, if you translate that, it's like, I see and I know there's more behind this than anybody's telling you. And that's kind of the way both of you would think as a team. It would be kind of an investigatory quality in your life.
He says, I see, I say, I see, and I know something's wrong. I feel it, I know.
Yeah, that's the two planets talking. Jupiter's I see, and Uranus is I know. The other thing that's, you've got to, wait, I wrote some notes down. What did I do with them? Oh, right here they are. So you have a T-cross, you know that, don't you? Okay. The T-cross.
I figured as much with my Saturn and Pluto, or Saturn and Pluto together, I think it was.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me go find it again here. You've got your Mars and Venus. Oh, I know what it was. I saw. Okay, I remember. Okay, let me go back to that. Okay, Mars, progress moon, Venus, Yod.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, to Mars. I had this before, all figured out. Why did I miss it?
I am pulling up my email right now so I can look up what you sent me and I might be able to tell you.
Okay. Well, transit Saturn right now is at 2839 of Capricorn in your chart. Okay. Let me make sure I got the right. Let me go back. Okay. All right, March 24th. I got it right now, March 24th. Okay. So, transit Saturn. Okay. So, transit Saturn just entered Aquarius. It's at 0 degrees. 10 minutes of Aquarius right now. And if we go around your chart, what you do when you read a chart like this, I want you to learn to do this. Once you find it where it's at, so if it's 0 degrees Aquarius, it's also, let's say, 29 degrees of Capricorn, because they just moved over from that sign. So you look around your chart and you say, what do I have at 29 degrees or 0 degrees of any sign? And if you look at Saturn in your chart, it's at 0,4 degrees Scorpio in your natal chart. And it's right there with Pluto, just like in your husband's case. And so you got Saturn, Pluto, joined at 29 and 04, right? Do you see that? In the
I'm trying to pull it up, but I'm listening.
Okay, so that means that transit Saturn is exactly at 0, so it's right on the square to Pluto and Saturn in your natal chart. Okay, so that aspect, if we look around the chart, we say, what else is going on with that aspect? Well, it's not making any, it's not doing any, how would I say,
threat, damage?
It's making a quincunx, 150 degrees to your Mars and Venus. So you've got Saturn.
But those aren't as bad as an actual.
Well, not as bad as an opposition, you know.
Right.
But if you look, it's also making a quincunx to the Moon at 4 degrees Gemini. So it's called a yod. You remember
I read in your book about that.
So that yod is being formed by your transit, by your natal Saturn and Pluto to Venus and to Mars and to your Moon in a Y shape going up from the 3rd house up to the 8th and to the 10th. You see that now?
No, because I haven't been able to find it for some odd reason right now, but...
Have you got your chart?
There we go.
You got it now?
On our natal charts.
Have you got the chart I made of 3?
Tri-wheel. Yes, hold on 1 second, let me...
Tri-wheel.
Yeah, right here, downline, come on. Of course, everything wants to take an odd amount of time today.
Mm-hmm. Probably a lot of people on their computers today can't go to work, sitting at home. What service do you use?
AT&T, but we just have, like you said, a ton of devices. We have a PlayStation and Amazon and 3 computers and an iPad and then phones. And it's just a lot of service that gets.
Yeah, you should move over to Xfinity. They have much better, faster internet. Much better. So let me know when you got that chart up and we'll look at it together.
Okay, I mean I can pull it up actually on my phone faster. I just can't see you, but that's okay.
How about I hold the chart? Oh, no, okay. I don't.
No, don't worry. I can pull it up and just not see you. I can hear you. Okay, got it.
Okay, good. Now you look at your 3rd house. You got Saturn and Pluto there?
Yep.
Okay, and then you go up to the 8th house. You got Mars and Venus.
Yes.
Then you go over to the 10th house. You got the Moon.
There's 10, yep.
Okay, so from the bottom 3rd house, if you go straight up into the 9th house, there's nothing there. But 30 degrees of each side of that opposition point, which forms the yod, is your Mars and Venus and your Moon. And that is being triggered right now by this Saturn, transit Saturn.
Oh, the inner.
You got it?
Because you said there's nothing there in 9. I'm going, wait a second, there is stuff there. But you're looking at inner, which would be a what?
Yeah, well, no, don't go to the inner. The inner has the progressed Moon. See the Moon's right below Pluto?
Yeah.
That's your progressed Moon. That's triggering the yod from there, okay? That's the inner circle is your progressions.
So the middle is going 3 to, well, you're talking about 10 though.
Yeah, we're talking about,
I see 3, 8 for like a Y is what I guess is what I'm thinking. I see 3, 8, and you said 10, but I see 3, 8, 11.
I don't see it where that is. Are you?
I just mean, I guess I'm trying to see how you see the Y, the yoke.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, let's first look at the natal chart, the inner circle.
Okay.
Okay, you got Saturn and Pluto right there. You see it, 29 and 04.
Yes.
Two different signs, Libra and Scorpio.
Yes.
And then if you go opposite to the opposite point and then 30 degrees either side of that, you get the yod. In other words,
okay.
You see a yod is 150 degrees. It's not 180. 180 beat opposition.
Right. So now I see. So it is the inner that makes the yoke, though.
You got it. That's it.
Okay.
So what we look is if that gets triggered in your chart. And your progressed moon is at 24 Libra right now. It's moving up to that yod point of 29 and 04 of the next sign. See, because it moves about a degree a month, your progressed moon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's at 24 Libra right now. You see that? It's sitting between Pluto and the ascendant, it says. There.
Between 9 28. I just see the Libra 29 28, that's at the bottom, and then you're talking about the top. Okay.
Okay, so you're talking the middle chart, the middle chart, not the inner one.
Right, I see the midheaven, there's the ascendant, okay.
Okay, good. And so the moon is moving, the progressed moon is at 24, Libra 42. So it's about 25 degrees right now. So it's got 2 more months till it moves up to Pluto. It's 2 degrees applying is what we use. So when I see it moving in the progressed moon, that's coming up in 2 to 4 months. That's going to be hitting, okay? Then it's going to go on and it's going to move closer to Saturn, which is going to trigger the same thing. So if one planet's influencing another, like these two, Pluto and Saturn, are, anything hits any of them, it causes them both to vibrate and activate. And in this case, it's activating, it'll start activating about 27 degrees. It's at 25 now, so we got 2 more months. It'll start really activating these 2 planets down here. Now, here's the thing. Because you've got up here Venus and Mars at 26 and 27, and the Moon at 4, they're also getting triggered by that because they're part of the yod. Now, let's interpret it, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so first of all, it represents sometimes, okay, again, it's not written in stone. We can say that about Saturn. Saturn's always written in stone, it seems. That's what it rules, rocks, crystals, and minerals. But what it tends to...
I read that.
So what we see in here is an affliction to Venus and Mars. Now that can be your mate, Venus, right? Mm-hmm. And Mars, which is also conflict, okay, and stress. And it's in the 8th house, which means his money, which is probably causing problems here. You see what I'm saying? So if you know that, there's stress on the finances, then you got to be aware of the stress it'll put on your marriage, which is Venus.
See, it's weird because we just spoke about this when I got off. I got teary-eyed because I'm sensitive, of course, and I said, overall, I think you had a good chart. Yes, there was a lot of bad stuff, but he's like, I'd rather know than not know. And I said, yeah, I said, that's the whole reason I even called her on to begin with, really, is because I feel everything is bad. Like, I don't feel like any aspect of anything right now is good and everything is off. So I said, you just got a ticket for going 100 the other day. And I said, why are you going 100? I mean, he didn't get a ticket. He coughed and got out of it. Smart. But I said, why are you going 100? That's ignorant. Don't do that. He's like, there's no one on the road. I said, I don't care. You got to be careful. And
he got pulled over?
He got pulled over and he hacked all over his license and went to hand it to the officer because he's quick like that. And the guy was like, go ahead, you can go.
You're lucky. That's luck. It's funny because I talked about that so much in his chart.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he must have been he didn't say a word. He doesn't
Well,
give.
he did. He goes, I just got a ticket the other day, but it was when you were breaking out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hear that. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. He, you know, I'm sure you've got a. How would I say this? You've got a companion now in your astrology.
Yeah, and the thing is with the finance thing, it's not bad. We're okay with finances, and we don't really fight about finances. It's more, I feel tension because I know he's been stressed with business, and it's almost, as you called we had a partnership with actually a male and a female that were in our wedding and my maid of honor, and we became friends with them 3 or 4 years ago. And we started our dog, owning dogs with them, co-owning. And she kind of wanted to start her own thing, and I've been saying something's not right, and she's acting different, and I think she wants to do this on her own, be careful. Well, it kind of all came out. So it's almost the generosity. He's like, he gets frustrated because he goes, I do all this shit, and then, people
Take advantage
start their own thing and take all I've done in 7 years to build this and make their own. That's fine, but not with my stuff.
Yeah.
So there has been stuff like that, and then, with dogs and breedings, and we had 2 sick puppies with Barbara that made it. There's just been a lot of things with business going on.
Yeah.
Causing a lot of stress.
Well, it's interesting because I saw this in his chart that people take advantage of him a lot.
Yeah.
And this is
And I'm not working. I go to school full time, but
Yeah.
I've never relied on a maid. I've owned the house since I was 20. For 17 years, I paid my own bills. I've worked my own jobs, but I have relied solely on him for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that causes stress, but he's never had a problem making money ever, or financial problem. It's always the stress around the business or people around it.
Right. Well, it's good to hear that because he doesn't give me any feedback when I'm doing the reading. And I like that. I like it though, because I don't want anybody to give me any feedback. I'd rather listen to my soul and my heart and read from what I see and not be influenced by it. You know what I mean? But he's I think one of the things I said to him is be careful about getting involved in lawsuits. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this might mean that person you just talked about.
I've also told him just to start getting everything on your contracts that are in writing, patent our name, because people try to fake and use one of our business names. And I go, you don't have a patent, you don't have a copyright, there's nothing you can do about it. And there's been problems we've had here and there, and I was like, you got to protect yourself.
You're right, and you're a good counselor to him. He really needs to listen to you more.
Mm-hmm.
This is a business. You have a good, strong business sense. By the way, your moon in the 10th house, I want to tell you this, is very much the writer. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, and usually people that have moon in the 10th, generally, very often will gain, because it's in Gemini, the sign of writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Creativity.
Yes, exactly. And it also is in the 10th house, which is the career, which means you could make a living at it. And the other thing is, it brings sometimes, the 10th house brings fame as well as infamy. It makes, it has that potential. So people that have the moon up there in that house very often gain national or recognition, that's the 10th house, right? Through their writing skills and their writing ability in that position. And that sign, it has a great potential. I want you to continue with writing a book or something that is going to have public interest. That's the moon is public, right? And particularly, for example, for women, it'll be even more important. The moon rules women. So you outreach to them through the book, even though it's maybe not just about women.
It's gonna reach everybody. It's one thing that I did want to talk to you about at some point. It's almost like your cosmic predictions. It's not so much predictions of future events or deaths or bad things to come, how you have. It's more of facts. And there's something to interest every single person. And I have everything I need, and sign-wise and numerology-wise, it's fascinating that they all in each category have a lot in common, almost identically, but I'm missing kind of what you have to put it all together.
Well, that's the key right there, put it all together. And once you can do that, then you've got really something that can impact people. And you know, because to get a significant message out to the public that is going to shape their life or change their lives is really what is effective. Not just, what's he say, kind of a dry, it's got to have some emotional impact to it. And,
of course, the history, that's why I tell you, when you touch on religion and things, that, you know, it's a great point, but history repeats itself, and to know the past is to know the future sometimes.
That's true, yeah.
And behaviors and charts and
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you've got the book in you, so you need to finish it, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not he who starts, it's he who finishes that matters. And you got to remind yourself that as you're writing, if you do a little bit every day. That is, not only is it important as a function of potential recognition and fame, which is what your moon in the 10th can be, but it's more important as it's a soul need you have. Your moon in Gemini in the 10th means you have a need for two things. You need the need to express oneself, Gemini, okay, moon, needs your emotional need to express yourself. And the other side of it is your emotional need for recognition for your work. And that's nothing wrong in that. That's that 10th house. Wants to be recognized, okay? That's why it does what it does and accomplishes what it does. So it's like your group you have, I haven't gone.
I have, I definitely the first part, I need to express myself, but more than recognition, I don't really like being recognition, because with fame comes bad things, and I don't necessarily like that. I just, I would say I need to make a change. I feel a purpose to change.
That's wonderful. I mean, I'm not saying by the fact that you need recognition. I think all of us do in a simple way. I don't seek out fame. I mean, my wife sometimes says, you know, Ron, you know, you're a great astrologer. Everybody should know. I said, no. You know, I'm happy what I'm doing. I don't need to be. I wouldn't be able to do the work I do. It would be too much if I got too popular. Quite truthfully, you know what I'm saying? That sounds egotistical, doesn't it? But I don't mean it to be.
No, it's yeah.
You know, but I mean, I can stay busy just so much of a day, in doing this, and I love doing it. My heart's in it. But let's say something here. The fact that Yod is getting triggered. The positive side of the Yod is what kind of work are you putting into your endeavors. There's two sides of a Yod. One, if you go from the ascendant and go across the chart, what cusp would be a Yod from the ascendant?
Across from it?
Yeah. What is think of a Yod.
Sagittarius?
No, don't talk about signs. What house cusp would be a Yod on? If you start from your ascendant and go across the chart, which cusps would be the cusps that relay Yod?
My ascendant is Leo.
Okay, again, don't worry about the signs.
Okay.
Just go from the houses. If you look across your chart, where's the...
Oh, I see. The house would be 2 or 3? 2.
No. Okay.
3?
Well, now you went the other way. You went from the descendant over to... no, you didn't even do it right there. So let's start back. Let's go back to that first house, your ascendant. And the line that's there, see it?
Okay, no. See, I see my AS under number 9, which is where I thought you were referring to.
No, I want you to go... No, I don't want you to look at that. I want you to just look at the line of your ascendant, which is at 23 Leo.
Okay.
And you walk and you look across the chart. The Y is formed from what cusps?
From... I on. I don't know why I feel like this one's upside down compared to what we did, but wait. I'm looking at maps.
No, okay, don't do that.
Hold on.
Okay, you can do that. You can do that.
How about, wait a second, this is not right. This is not what you said. Okay, I see it now. That's why I was going, I see it in the tent. It's not, okay, it's where it belongs.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do that again.
Okay, if you start from the
On
ascendant.
my chart, it would be straight across, would be
Aquarius there, right? Cusp.
right, which would be in 6th house.
Good, now there you went back to the right cusp. That's the Y coming across from the line across the other side of the chart. The 6th house and the 8th, there's two
I see
sides.
that.
Now there's two sides, there's 8th house meaning and there's a 6th house meaning with yods. The 8th house can be death or resurrection or regeneration or rebirth. Can be a birth of a child, okay? The 6th house can be sickness and service. Okay, so why did I tell you to look across and get that meaning? Because I want you to learn. What you're going to learn from that is that every time you see a yod, it has a dual meaning. One side, which is the moon, okay, in your case, is if you went from the bottom up to the top, is an 8th house meaning. If you go to the Venus-Mars side of it, which is the other side of the yod, you've got a 6th house, which is service or sickness. You see where I'm coming from now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to learn to interpret. So you look at the moon in the 10th, in your case, in this chart, and it's trying to activate all of the energies around that. And the 8th house is not just death. It represents sex. It represents regeneration, rebirth. It represents the resurrection of the spirit. Okay, Pluto is the planet of Christ consciousness, so the 8th house is all that. So what's happening with that energy is trying to get you motivated to start manifesting your soul needs. And it's pushing you to do that. Maybe even when you sat down with me the very first time in that house over at Victoria's, you kept talking about your book. Because you wanted to, but you didn't want to talk about it because you wanted to keep it private. But at the same time, your soul's crying out for help. I need this book to go out. I need it to go out. But I need somebody I can trust to share it with. And what I'm telling you is this energy has been going on for a while, and you're not activating it. You need to do it. You need to get out. You know, the thing with the moon, it's easy. It gets real lazy. And it's like it likes comfort. Okay, so it's hard to get things activated with that energy, and so you need a little push. Now, if you go back over to the Mars and Venus, there's two things that can push you. One's your mate, and Mars is just your plain gumption to get something done, which is Mars. These are all trying to talk to you right now, and it's really being triggered by Saturn. It's not a negative thing. It's just Saturn's trying to talk to you, saying, look, it's time to do what you're here for, to fulfill your soul need, to show a little discipline and do something. And so, you know, again, when we talk about...
I procrastinate, I am
master of
a dreamer. I'd rather play games than do anything that I have to do until I have to do it, like school. I have 3 classes right now I take at UF online, and I have all A's, and I do really well because I have to. But if I don't have to, or if I will try to stay in the fantasy world as long as possible.
Yeah, well, you know, the moon's a dreamer. I mean, the moon is like that. That's what it's about. And the other thing is, I mean, you know, just look at your old total chart. I mean, it's, you know, that Saturn sits in aspect to all of those planets. Excuse me, Neptune, rather. Neptune sits in aspect to all of the 28 degrees. So it's part of this whole picture. So Neptune is the dreamer, and it's in Sag. So, you know, the thing is, you know, the thing about Neptune and Sag, you can dream big too. You know, that's part of it.
What were you saying though before when we were doing maps? You said something about drinking wine, sickness.
Yeah, stay away from it. Yeah.
But I do. So,
Good.
and I don't stay away from it. I drink wine regularly.
It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. It really can be destructive over time. Really destructive. One of the things that it can affect eventually is your liver. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't need that. Really don't need that in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So the other thing we want to look at. Okay, we looked at transit Saturn. It's at 0 Aquarius. Just entered Aquarius. Actually, almost today or yesterday, whatever. And so when you're doing charts for other people, and you're looking to interpret a chart, you want to see what's at 29 degrees or 0 of any sign. 29 would be just moving out of a sign. And so it's so simple. Just walk around the chart and look around and say, okay, what do I have at 28, 29, or 0? Oh, you got Neptune at 28, almost 29. It's 20, 28, 49. Neptune is being triggered right now very strong, okay? So again, that's, it's a good aspect. It's not a bad aspect. It's 28 of, it's 30 degrees. It's a favorable aspect. So that just basically shows the possibility of getting out of your dream world and starting doing some discipline. Saturn is the teacher, and it's the discipline, and it's all that stuff. It's trying to push you to take and make something real out of the dreams of Neptune. Okay? You can understand that's happening, really. And I think even my involvement in your life right now is trying to push you to do that. So, you're going to get from a good astrological chart, you'll see the messages trying to give to you. And then it's looking at this, it's looking at a good aspects to your Jupiter and Uranus. Which means, interesting enough, that Saturn's at 0 Aquarius, and Sagittarius, let's see, what degrees? 9 degrees and 8 degrees. So eventually Saturn's going to be moving up on Jupiter and Uranus in a good aspect, and that's very good. Jupiter is called the Greater Fortune, and that's going to be some time because Saturn's going to be retrograding back, going forward again. What you want to do is you want to look ahead in an ephemeris and say, when in fact does Saturn move up to, let's say, 6 degrees of Aquarius? Because at that time, there's going to be big changes in your life because Uranus is sudden unexpected, Jupiter's good, meaning possibly good fortune, and the 4th house rules your home. To me, it might manifest a change in in where you live, actually. So that could be coming up with that aspect. If I go forward in your new moons, and if I just keep jumping forward, I'm going to move Saturn and see how far it takes me. See, it moves backwards. It's going all the way back to 25 Capricorn. Then now it's coming back again. Okay, so if I look at when it's going to make those good aspects to Uranus and Jupiter. Uranus means sudden unexpected, and Jupiter means fortune. And it's in your 4th house, which was your home. So there's a lot. It could involve property or purchases of property. And it's also the date when this is going to hit the strongest is February of 2021.
Mm-hmm. That's about right.
Why are you saying that?
I've been looking at houses. I actually have my good friend realtor just send me 15 listings the other day because I have 5 dogs and my house is small and there's just not enough space and I clean it every day. It's a lot and I need more space and we need a bigger house.
You're going to move. There's no question.
But we have some prior things he needs to take care of first and
you
and
see
then we
it.
can.
So you see it as about a year till you move.
Probably.
Yeah, that's.
Especially with all this going on.
Yeah, if it's going to happen, it should happen around the end of this year or the first of next. Okay, the first few months. And it doesn't mean it's going to just end there because if you look at I'll be so excited when you start using these tools, and I don't have to sit here and do this for you. But you can keep, no, seriously. But when you can keep moving forward, and you keep looking at Saturn, it's at 9 degrees, let's say, in March of next year, and Uranus is at 9, so it's still real powerful right then. See that? it's almost exact to Uranus. And we move another month ahead. Let's see what it does next month. In April of 2021, Saturn's sitting at 12. So it's just
Well, that could be bad, no?
it's good. No, it's what I'm looking at is his relationship to Jupiter and Uranus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, these are good aspects. Okay, so 12 degrees. It's starting to move off. So those are the months when you'll probably move. I would say that the move should happen around the first part of the year of 2021 because there's January, February, March are very powerful moving energies at that time, and then likely you'll move. And more importantly, Jupiter means a large house because it's in the 4th house. Jupiter,
Expansion.
it needs that, yes, expansion, good for you. And Uranus, which is unique, something that you really will find fits your persona and everything about you. It can be, if it wasn't for this corona, hopefully it's gone by then, but Uranus means the ability to bring together Jupiter large, Uranus social gatherings. That's what Uranus is, okay? This society at large represents big social events. It could be like yoga schools, and you could have a school there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like yoga, but I was just recently talking to him actually about this tanning salon, but it's like with the red infralight and like health stuff. I don't know, it's a whole big thing.
No, it's not. You should think that way because that is a very possibility, a very unique home environment that involves something more socially, how would I say, Jupiter, more spiritual, unique, different, nobody else is doing it type of thing. That's who I see you doing something with that energy. So it's a good time. You don't put those things out of your mind as possibilities. If you're exploring ideas, give it a year, it'll be ready to be put into action. So, okay, let's see if we pop up something else more. I want to see here. The new moons back then are going to be falling around 22 degrees back in that 2021 period. In the 20s, early 20s, the new moons. If you look around your chart, I say, what's going on with 20, okay? And
So with all the stress and chaos going on in his chart, my chart, I mean, really, I feel like I just really need to watch out for him till July 20th. But as for me, with the stuff, I need to be motivated and not drink and do all these health things, obviously. But
well, you said it best right there. You did it. You just made a whole list of good things, and that's who you are, and that's what you need to do. You're good at organizing your thoughts and things and actions and getting things done. You're a good businesswoman. He needs to learn to take your advice more. You are really there to help him and protect him, same as my wife does for me. And I've learned to respect and respect what she tells me. So you've got good high intuition as well. Jupiter conjunct Uranus. It's just fact because you're a woman. It's far more developed than his is, even though he's got it, but you've got it at a higher level. So that's another reason why you make a great astrologer. Okay, a great astrologer is Jupiter conjunct Uranus. That's just using the words alone. Uranus rules astrology, and Jupiter's always what? Great. It's expansive. It sheds light on things, and Jupiter is the light of the world. You see that? So, you've got a really amazing potential with this. You've got to get him through this next period, though. It's going to be more selfless than selfish. You're going to have to spend time to protect him. Make sure you get a spitz bottle, a water spray bottle of alcohol, that you don't touch anything outside your house without spraying it first. Make sure he's aware. If you got to wear gloves, wear gloves. I would like to see you get some masks of some kind, but they're not available. You can't even go online and buy one now. They're sold out everywhere. But
Yeah, I have a ton of hand sanitizers that I had from my wedding, and I have, I wash my hands all the time. I spray myself with Lysol. I'm a little overboard.
good,
There's
good.
germaphobe from microbiology,
But you want to get him to do the same thing, you know that?
and I know he doesn't. So like when he comes home and he leaves his wallet out and his keys, I Lysol spray them.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
I
you.
Lysol spray doorknobs outside, chairs, all kinds of things.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you are, this whole thing with, first of all, you're Leo rising. Leo rising, you can't stop them. I mean, it's an unstoppable. There's 100 quatrains or verses written by.
Nostradamus.
Well, now a guy named Cardan, and he had 100 aphorisms, and one of them was Leo alone ascending in a chart makes one master of more than norm. It's one of the most powerful ascendants you can have in a chart. Your husband's got Sagittarius, so both got fiery signs rising. But Leo's the lord of it all. Leo's the king. Leo's the queen. And so you're going to assert yourself to the point where, you can't go against the queen. So he's got to give in to you. Ultimately, he does, and I'm sure he does.
At some point.
Yeah.
3 days later.
Yeah.
I thought about what you said after 2 days of harboring anger. No, you're right.
Yeah. But you're good with him, I can tell. And that Pisces sun. I mean, you're just right inside of that. You're just out of Aquarius, only by 2 degrees, not even 2 degrees. So I think you have that duality of that energy. It's kind of the very Aquarian quality in your nature as well as the Piscean. Those cuspal suns, when you're just born over that cross, very often have that duality. And then anyway, Leo is ruled by the sun. And if you look at your sun, it's in the 7th house. And it's your ruler of your ascendant, which means you rule over your mate, quite frankly. Don't tell him that. But
Never tell your secret.
Never tell. But the sun in the 7th means that your will, which is I will, is the sun, right? You know that. Leo, the sun, the key word of Leo is what? I will. So your will always dominate your mate. And it'll ultimately get its way generally because it's the strongest energy in that complex of signs. So
and him being Aries, they always want their way. So.
Oh yeah. He's
could be a battle, but.
Yeah, well, you've got this Mars Venus conjunction, which is constant fighting. It's like you can't hardly get out from under it. I mean, it's either passion or it's fight. It's passion or it's fight. And so it keeps a balance, but at the same time it gets weary after a time. I was married to a woman that had that Mars-Venus joining together years ago. And it's a hard one to live with. Anyway, here's the thing. What I want you to do, I want you to take the information I've given you. I want you to go through it thoroughly. You've got a lot. You probably have gone through most of it already. And I want you to take and begin to do, particularly for your husband's sake, more than your own, to begin to look at the new moons each month and track them and make sure that if they're hitting on his cross.
Here's the only thing I have a question about for that. I actually just did how the moon affects the tides, like science project for my son, and he got first place in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how he did that, but I was only interested in it because of astrology, really. But he picked the topic. Anyways.
Isn't that beautiful?
So I had to track all the new moons, and then how it affects the tides versus, any other moons, the highs and lows of the day, twice a day, and I recorded the data. Anyhow, the point is I don't know how, if I see a new moon tomorrow, I don't know how to put it with this chart to see, but I know the dates you told me. I remember them all. April 22nd, May 22nd, June 20th, and July 2020.
How about I do this for you? I'll make a list of all the new moons for the next 12 months. for this year. We'll go through this year. And all you have to do is write them outside the chart where they belong. Okay? In other words, if the new moon's falling at 22 Pisces, you know, I'd put it on outside your chart where it says 19, 21 Pisces. You know,
Right, but I know the dates that you just gave me. So let's say April 22nd and May 22nd.
Yeah.
I don't know where to place them. Do I place them in their own sign, May 22nd being Taurus, Gemini? Or is there a certain placement?
You would put them around the chart. Like,
Right, but in their month, like in their sign?
yeah, here's how I do it. For example, let me show you what I want. I'll show you what I want you to do. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so let's just say in this chart here, do you see where, can you see this chart? No, you can't.
Yes, yeah.
You can't?
Yep.
Okay. Can you see the 7th house cusp is 25?
Actually, go to your right. Right? There you go.
Okay, you see, what is on that 7th cusp right here?
I see right now, I see 10, 11, 12. So you'd have to go more right for me to see 7.
No, 23, 18, isn't it?
No, I'm saying the houses I see right now is 10.
No, not the
11.
houses, not the houses. I'm looking at the degrees, right here. 23, 18. Or is it 25? Let me look. Yes, 23 and 18 Aquarius. Okay, on the outer edge right here.
Yes, yeah, I can't see that.
You see it now?
I can't see it on yours, but I can see it on mine.
Okay, good. Okay. Let's assume that the new moon fell at 22 degrees Aquarius.
Right.
Then, which it will over the next year. Well, then you just take the outside of the page, outside of your circle, and put NM, in for new moon, and put 23 degrees Aquarius. And then you go to the next month, which will be Pisces. And let's say it falls at 22 degrees Pisces. You put 22 Pisces next to where it says 1921. Or let's just take, for example, that your new moons fall in the middle of a sign. All you want to know is where it is. And then, listen, once you know where it is and what degree it fell, then you go back to the natal chart, the inner chart, and you say, what is that touching? What is it affecting? What's communicating in that chart with that aspect? So if you looked at your chart, you say, oh, Venus and Mars are at 26. So 22 Aquarius, if it happened to be that, is touching those by aspect. And you need to learn the orbs of influence. For example, progressions are 2 degrees applying, 1 degree separating. Progressed moon, okay? Transit Saturn generally is about the same thing. 2 degrees applying, 1 degree separating.
Okay.
But when you're working with me and learn with astrology, you're going to realize there's no set rules. You're going to have to use your good judgment because there'll be exceptions to every rule.
Right.
Okay, so once you put those around the circle, the chart, you can do that for every month. And you put the month, for example, let's say it's 22 Aquarius. Then you put February 21st next to it. You know when it does. Then that ends when the next one begins. And let's say Pisces, for example. If it's the next sign, the next new moon is going to be in, let's say 20 degrees Pisces. You put 20 degrees Pisces, you put NM for new moon. And you put 20 Pisces, use the symbols. And then you put the date, like March 14th or whatever it is. So you just put the date next to it. And then you keep doing that till you go around the full chart, okay? And when you have this program eventually, which I really would love to see you use it'll do all that for you. You just click the next new moon, you know. But right now, let's get this summed up. What I feel for you is that a lot of the stress that's from that yod will come from two things. From from your husband's work, which is the sixth house influence, remember? And hopefully not health issues of major comport. That eighth house, I hope that's not going to be a factor. But the other thing is your Venus and Mars are getting triggered, which means that the tension from all the stress that you're under right now and he's under can magnify the conflicts at home. So try to keep the peace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, try to keep the peace.
Right, Tom.
You got it, you got it. You know, and try praise and thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Praise as much as you can, give him thanks as much as you can. Tell him how much you love him, and let him know that, you know, that he's provided such a wonderful life for you and you really are grateful. Those things go a long way to help give a little bit of salve.
We do. We actually did it without each other knowing the other day. Randomly, he got an orchid, cave being sent, and said, I appreciate you on the note, love you. And I had sent a box of chocolate covered strawberries saying, I appreciate you, just want to thank you, love you.
And you both, you didn't know you were doing it? Neither one of you know the other was doing it, right?
No.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, look, you know, you're a wise woman. You've got a lot to give and a lot to share. And I would
The
love.
last thing I have a question about is my son, which I know you said we can do a chart another time, which is totally fine. But I sent you just a picture, and he is having a tough time. And I just want to know if there's anything really, really bad that you see really quick, and we can be concerned. He has a lot of stuff going on. I don't know.
You know, we really need to do a whole session and sit down with it. And
Okay.
Because I don't want to jump onto just the chart you sent me. I want to look at it and do the charts right and everything. So we'll make another time, another session for that. I mean, it's, what would it do? We've gone 4 hours almost, so, you know.
Yeah, that's fine. So I will do